Good afternoon and welcome to the Pinell County Community College District Governing Board meeting. In observance of current CDC guidelines and Governor Ducey's executive order regarding social distancing, this meeting is being held virtually. I would like to acknowledge those from Central Arizona College in attendance. I am Dr. Dave Odiorn, Governing Board President. Evelyn Kasuga, Governing Board Vice President and Secretary. Gladys Christensen, Board Member. Dan Miller, Board Member. Jerry Walker, Board Member. Dr. Jackie Elliott, Central Arizona College President. Chris Watka, Vice President of Business Affairs. Dr. Jenny Cardenas, Vice President of Student Services. Dr. Mary Kay Gilliand, Vice President of Academic Affairs. Brandy Bain, Vice President of Talent Development. Mary Lou Hernandez, Executive Assistant to the President and Governing Board. I'd also like to welcome David Borofsky, Director of the Arizona Association of Community College Trustees, who is joining us as a guest today. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order. And may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved, Mr. President, Mr. Chair.
I would
Thank you,
second the
Ellen.
motion.
And a second.
Did you hear my second? I second the motion.
Thank you, Gladys. Motion is made and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 Nay. Motion passes unanimously. Next is our consent agenda. All of the items on the consent agenda are to be approved by one motion. There'll be no specific discussion of these items. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any governing board member. Are there any items that need to be removed? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So made.
Thank you, Jerry. And a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Mary Lou, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Evelyn Kasuga,
Yes.
Gladys Christensen,
Here,
Dan Miller,
Yes.
Jerry Walker,
Aye.
Dr. Odiorn.
Yes,
Motion passes unanimously.
Mary Lou. Our next item is an action item, tuition and fees schedule for the academic year 2021-22. Mr. Wadka, would you care to present, please?
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, other governing board members, Madam President, Madam Board Secretary, and any staff and guests that are with us this afternoon. Before you is the 2021-2022 tuition and fees schedule. Typically at this time of the year, every year, we approve the rates that will kick in starting the fall semester. What we are asking for this year is no increase in tuition. So tuition would remain at $86 per credit hour. This would be our third consecutive year that we have not raised our tuition. If you recall, back in 2017, the board established a goal as far as our tuition being either below or at the average of the other community colleges in the state of Arizona. As you can see now, from 2019 in the graph to 2022, we are about $117 per semester below the average of all the other schools. There are also a couple of pages attached with some fees. The main one being our res hall fees have remained the same due to being mostly closed the entire year. We did not increase the res hall fees at all and kept our tuition the same. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions there may be on the tuition and fees.
Any questions for Mr. Wadka?
Yes, I have a question. The tuition and fees did not change, but you mentioned a variation between the degree costs one year and the next. What was that about? Can you go over that in a little more detail?
Yes, our tuition has not increased. This is for the third consecutive years. It has remained at $86. Based on the graph that's provided in the packet, the average cost based on 30 credit hours in the state of Arizona is about $2,697. Our $30 at 80, our 30 hours at 86 comes out to $2,580. So hence the difference of the $117 that I mentioned. We're below the average for a 30-hour semester total tuition rate compared to the other community colleges in the state.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Wadka? Hearing none, may I have a motion to approve item 4, tuition and fees?
So made.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Mary Lou, would you take a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Evelyn Kasuga,
Yes.
Gladys Christensen,
Aye.
Dan Miller,
Yes.
Jerry Walker,
Aye.
Dr. Odiorn.
Yes.
Motion approved unanimously.
Thank you, Mary Lou. Our next item is policies for first reading. Brandy Bain, please.
Good afternoon, Governing Board President Dr. Ordeon, Governing Board members, President Elliott, Mary Lou, staff, students, and any guests that we have present today. This afternoon, I present to you the first reading of the following policy, which is our computer and network usage policy. This is a policy that we have had in existence, and we simply just did a short little revision to the existing policy. This is first reading only, and it's for your review, no action item necessary. And I'd be happy to entertain any questions you may have.
Any questions for Brandy? Thank you, Brandy.
Thank you.
Next is the report from our college president, Dr. Elliott.
Good afternoon, President Ordeon, board members, guests, and vice presidents, faculty, and staff of Central Arizona College. It is my pleasure to report a few key things today. In particular, we have updated the return to campus plan and guidelines to reflect current CDC guidelines. And as a result, employees will be returning to campus on April 5th in a staggered format. And on May 3rd, the college will reopen to students and the public. We believe we're at that point where we can do so safely. We will continue our courses that have been scheduled for the spring in a virtual format, except for those hands-on experiences and or where we can do face-to-face safely with 6 feet and classroom settings. We also now, the Signal Peak campus is also now a vaccination site for anyone who is 18 years or older. So it's convenient for individuals to be able to get their vaccination right there at the Signal Peak campus now, as well as we do continue the testing for COVID-19. And this is both in our partnership with Embry Health. I want to take a moment to recognize the efforts of our COVID-19 response team for the careful and thoughtful consideration and preparation that went into determining our return to campus plan and guidelines and finding the dates that would be most reasonable for us to resume college operations. The new return to campus plan and guidelines are posted on the campus website or the college website. As noted, we will continue to offer courses in a virtual format with more face-to-face courses added for the summer and fall. And right now, plans are underway to distribute the second round of CARES dollars, or as they're referred to, CARISA dollars, to students and to continue to support ongoing college operations related to COVID-19. And with that, I'll end my district update and see if there's any questions before I move on to the legislative update.
Any questions for Dr. Elliott? I have one. When do you anticipate it will be appropriate for the board to join you again on campus?
I'm anticipating May would be the month, because that's the month we're opening back up to the public. And that way, if public members of our county want to attend, then that would be within our plan. So probably one more virtual in April, and then in May back to normal in-person board meetings.
Wonderful. We have missed you all and each other.
I know, we all have very
Okay.
much.
All right.
All right, for the legislative update, here's some proposed legislation that could impact the college. The first is House Bill 2523, which would allow community college districts with less than 750,000 in population to offer 4-year degrees. I think I mentioned this last month. It has passed the House, and currently it is assigned to the Senate Appropriation Committee. House Bill 2836, making appropriations to rural community colleges in the amount of 21 million for career and technical education programs. This bill has passed the House and has also been assigned to the Senate Appropriations Committee. Senate Bill 1012 increases the amount of time a community college district may enter into a lease purchase agreement from the 15 years to 20 years. This has passed both the House and the Senate and has been signed by the governor. And then Senate Bill 1294, which would increase the multiplier for full-time student equivalents enrolled in career and technical education programs from 0.3 to 1.0 and this relates to expenditure limitations, and also allows for a 3-year grace period in exceeding expenditure limitations without penalty of more than $100. And this has passed the Senate. So I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have about this legislation.
Any questions?
I have,
Go ahead, Jerry.
yes, I have a question. You mentioned 4-year degrees in some of the community colleges. How does CAC fit into that scheme?
If it passes, we would be allowed, because our district is less than 750,000 in population, to offer 4-year degrees if we so choose.
And what disciplines would you anticipate offering those degrees in? Have you thought about that?
The legislation, Trustee Walker, the legislation is very specific about what can be offered, and you have to do a lot of research demonstrating need in your community, jobs in that field in your community, the viability of the program. So we would have to go through a study to make that decision about what we would offer. However, right now, the college's position has always been that we are very interested in growing as many as we can, 30-90 or 90-30 relationships with our 4-year institutions in the state. That enables a student to take 90 hours from CAC and the remaining 30 at one of the 4-year institutions. We feel that maybe they have the capacity to deliver that rather than us taking on 4-year degrees. But we would have to definitely do a lot of research and work to even be approved and demonstrate a need within Pinal County for that particular discipline in 4-year degrees. So it would be probably irresponsible for me right now to speculate and guess without having done the necessary legwork and research that would be required.
Okay. The reason I ask that is because we have in Maricopa County, when I was over there, had a good relationship with the universities, so that the nursing students who completed the last 30 hours and received a bachelor's degree from one of those 3 schools or 4, I guess GCU counts as one of the colleges that offer 4-year degrees, although it's not public, it's private. but they could go directly into an entry-level doctoral program in nursing, so they could graduate with a doctorate of nursing degree with nurse practitioner certification. And I'm thinking that that would be a viable area for us to consider, since Pinell County is more rural than the other areas, and medical practitioners are fewer and far between.
It doesn't allow for anything beyond the baccalaureate level.
Understand that, but the bachelor's degree in nursing would then give them the ability to go directly into a doctoral of nursing program at one of the four-year universities.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Actually, we already
Articulation.
have that with NAU, where our students are able to graduate with their baccalaureate and their associate sometimes at the same time. But we already have that partnership with NAU for the nursing.
Okay,
It's going to be for, depending on how the bill passes and so on, I'm sure we'll have discussions down the road when we see the final legislation, but interesting area. Not the first state that's done this, and lots of pros and cons for
yeah,
each
I
college.
heard on the lighter side, I heard that Dr. Pepper retired and was replaced by a nurse practitioner.
Any other
Supposed to get a
questions,
gig.
Dr. Elliott?
I will just add that that piece of legislation has been batted around in different committees with things added and deleted. And I would say that to be able to offer four-year degrees may, because of some of the language, may take more time and effort than what the reward might be. So definitely we're going to have a lot more conversations down the road if that piece of legislation should be signed into law.
That degree program would not be a PhD, it's a DPN or DNP or something like that.
All right, very good. Our next item is our business affairs reports. Mr. Wadka.
Thank you, sir, and good afternoon, everyone. 3 reports for your information this afternoon: budget, the awarded bids, and a status report on the recent refunding that we had of the general obligation bonds. So starting with the monthly budget report in your packet, you have a comparison of January 2021 to January 2020. Currently through January, we are showing operating fund expenditures at approximately 48.13%, which is a slight increase of less than 1% from January a year ago, which was at 47.23%. No significant changes whatsoever from what I reported on last month when we did a December to December analysis. But happy to answer any questions if there are on the budget report.
Any questions for Mr. Wadka? Thanks, Chris. Go ahead.
Okay, the next item is a listing of awarded purchases over $20,000. There are a handful of them. First one is AC 400 radiographic system, Compre Incorporated out of Phoenix, Arizona, in the amount of $50,820. That was to purchase a piece of equipment for our radiology program. The next 4 are classroom upgrade projects, all from Troxel Communication in the amount of $25,514.41, $51,252.92, $97,105.80, and $115,559.84. And this is to essentially make IT classroom upgrades throughout the district. Next one is the VMware license renewal, Dell USA, Chicago, Illinois, $33,083.55. That is to review our yearly license. And the next 3 are Dell USA, Chicago, Illinois, computers for nursing, student loaners, and computers for the district in the amount of $20,083.44, $45,327.48, and $83,439.18. So those are to purchase computers not only for the nursing program, but also we did a lot of student loaners and also just for general replacement for the district. And all three of these expenditures have been made from the CARES dollars that we received. And the last one is 8-pack welders, Vern Lewis Welding Supply, $24,638.90. And that is to purchase some welding equipment for our welding program. With that, be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Mr. Walker? Thank you.
Okay. The last item on my report is a summarization of the general obligation refunding bonds. On Monday, March 1st, so less than a month ago, we priced and sold $36 million in general obligation refunding bonds, which produced a net present value savings in excess of $7.1 million for the district, which in turn is a savings to pass down to our taxpayers. In your packet, you have a presentation. What I'd like to concentrate is on the page that is the transaction summary. And I'm not sure if we could put that up. If not, I'll read through some of the highlights of this because this is something that's been in the works for 2 years. Nick Dodd, our advisor from Piper Sandler, who checks in with me at least on a quarterly basis, back in September of 2019, we started looking at the interest rate environment and what the potential savings could be on refunding the issues. So the timeline that we present in this transaction summary is back in September of 2019, we thought maybe we would save about $5.7 million. Then when the governing board approved the bond resolution of August of 2020, less than a year ago, we were estimating that our savings would be about $6.8 million. And then obviously when we just made the sale on March 1st, we have a present value savings in excess of $7.1 million. So we came out even better than what we've anticipated over the last year and a half. So that's a savings that's passed down to our taxpayers in terms of the secondary tax levy. And just happy to report on that. And happy to answer any questions you may have.
Excellent news, Chris. I guess that tax savings means I can go out to dinner tonight. Any questions for Mr. Wadka?
As long as you're at least 3 feet apart.
Yes. All right, very good. Thank you, Chris.
Okay, thank you. That concludes my reports. Thank you.
Thank you. And next on our agenda is our monitoring report. Brandy Bain.
Good afternoon once again. Chris doesn't have the only great news to report, I will have to say. I'm excited to report today on the monitoring report, which is outcome 5, which is specific to the strategic goal of environment, where you have asked us as a college to ensure a safe and sustainable environment that promotes learning, communication, diversity, and satisfaction amongst our students, faculty, and staff. So with that, I do have a co-presenter today. Rob Stevens is our Director of Professional Development, also responsible for employee engagement and recognition. So he has a big job under him. Rob has been with the college for about 14 years. Rob, I hope I got that correct. I forgot to write down the exact number that you told me. Rob, I chose Rob to be a co-presenter today to talk about the recent and planned improvements that we'll get to later, because I felt Rob was really integral to the success of moving not only our department, talent development, but the college to a virtual environment when COVID hit. So I reported to you last March, right when we were sort of getting into the COVID situation, and a lot has happened over the last year. So I will go through the data, the trend data with you all, and then I will cover some recent and planned improvements, and then ask Rob to speak in just briefly about some of the areas that he covered in those specific to our environment. So we measure environment at the college in 3 ways: employee satisfaction specific to communication, employee overall satisfaction, our employee retention rates, and then our employee diversity as it relates to the diversity of our county, as well as our students. So again, I will discuss the data and then I will move into the recent and planned improvements. So the first chart up here you see is employee satisfaction as it relates specific to communication. So I will be very honest with you, as a college, we have consistently struggled with communication. We've always been around 50% or so. Our honor roll colleges have trended higher than us. But I will tell you that we have made some nice increases from 2018 to 2020, moving from a 50% to 58% increase in our communication. Improving employee satisfaction and communication has always been a top priority. We are always trying to be very creative and provide communication in different modalities to our employees and our staff and our students at that. But I will tell you that during COVID, this was a very, very big focus for us as a college. I saw more communication and people come together than we had probably in many years. So I feel very strongly that we will see this increase after we receive the results of our Great College to Workforce survey. And that's the survey that we use to measure how we are doing with overall employee satisfaction and communication. So the next slide, if we could go to that, thank you, is our employee overall satisfaction. Again, this is another way we do measure our environment. Again, we use the Great Colleges to Work For survey as one of the ways that we do measure this. We the board set a target for this at an 80%. We continue to make some really great progress, a significant increase overall from 19 to 20, moving from 67% to 73%. So I feel like we are on the right track. The things that we have been implementing and being consistent with, I feel are working with overall satisfaction to our employees. The next chart talks specifically about employee retention. And I think what's important to note here is employees really like working for the college. And we don't see a lot of people leave unless they are retiring or if they just have gotten a better opportunity at a different organization. You know, many times they reach their peak and they just can't go any further if there's just no other position. So with this, I think this is the data speaks for itself. The board set a target of 90%. We are just right under that at 87%. We do retain our employees that come to work for the college, and many of our employees stay for a very long time. And that there is also an increase from the prior year, from 84% to 87%. And then the last way we do measure our environment is through our employee diversity. We demonstrate this basically how we reflect as a college, our employee population as it relates to the population of our county that we serve. The board adopted a rate of 44%. And this year we're sitting right about 40%, which was again, a nice increase, a 7% trend upward from the last year. We continue to make diversity a very important component of what we do. We, I feel like we work hard to make sure that we advertise in diverse publications for job openings that are available. We spent a lot of time during COVID with diversity training and so on and so forth. So I really feel like we are moving in the right direction with this data here. So with that, those are the 4 areas how we measure our environment. And so some things that we really focused on this last year, and as everybody knows, this last year was very different, but I feel like it gave us an opportunity as a college to really come together and really focus on our communication. So some of the recent improvements that we did over the past year, we implemented, or Dr. Elliott implemented, a weekly check and chat with the president. So it was really kind of biblical. Every Monday at 1:30, everybody knew Dr. Elliott was going to have her check in and chat. Matter of fact, yesterday she had to push it back and I got a lot of emails and texts. Did I miss the meeting? Oh my gosh, where was it? We just had to rearrange it for another day. We as an institution created a One College, One Team channel to really focus on recognizing, praising, and communicating to our college as a whole. It's really been a cool thing to see where employees get in there and say, I'd like to recognize Jose in IT for helping me fix my computer issue. And then people get on there and respond and just say how great IT services are and thank you. And so it's just been a way for everybody to come together and see from home that people really are working and they are working hard to make us, get us back on campus and keep us rolling. We were fortunate enough to offer what we call a COVID cash out. So we knew that some of our employees were struggling probably with COVID and possible layoffs in the family or reduction in force or lower hours or something of the nature. So we allowed our staff to dip into their vacation time or accrued sick time and cash some of that out so they could have some extra funds in their pocket to help with maybe some things that they needed to do within their family. We implemented a lot of campus branding. So I want to give kudos to our marketing department in here. This was something that if you see Vaquero Pete with our COVID mask, that's kind of the brand we use to COVID. He's on our guidelines. He's on our return to campus plans. He's on our signs that say, please don't sit here due to social distancing. So that was kind of a neat thing that we did. We implemented Wellness Wednesdays where we did a little physical activity virtually, maybe a yoga class. We felt like people wanted to kind of come together at the end of their week and talk about their week. So at the beginning of COVID, and it lasted about 6 months, we did a virtual happy hour. It was at 6 o'clock. Computers were down. Nobody needed to work. Everybody kind of had their water, their cocktail, whatever they chose to drink. And we got together and just talked about whatever we wanted to. All supervisors, as well as our cabinet executive team, went through communication and civility training. That was something that was really important to us to help with communication. We held numerous campus-wide initiatives, lunch and learns, benefit sessions. One thing that was really important, right when COVID started, and then it really kind of kicked off with the George Floyd situation, we started conversations with colleagues, and that has really been an important piece to the week for many employees. So what this group does is they get together and they find a guest speaker, and that guest speaker can basically speak on anything. We've had speakers from, the ADA. I spoke on leading while female. You name it, some really cool topics have been presented with that. So that's something that we plan to continue even when we return back. And I think it's something that our college has really appreciated. Again, let's see. I think I'll stop there and see, Rob, is there anything that you want to add that maybe you did to help with recent improvements while under COVID, in particular to our environment?
And Rob, could you, wanted to see that camera on, thanks.
Well, we offered several coronavirus awareness trainings, as well as the return to campus guidelines and campus plan. And we're also going to be re-implementing that training before we start campus in April. We offered several different diversity training courses online, about 4 of them: diversity awareness, sensitivity awareness, diversity inclusion, implicit bias. We actually had about a 96% completion rate with our full-time employees. So that was really well received. And we moved our employee development events online. So we had our All College Day Celebrating You, where we brought in recognition for different accomplishments that our employees had. And also our development day was held and organized with our campus constituency presidents. They organize events and breakout sessions and things like that that would help our employees move along with their development.
Wonderful, Rob.
The last thing I was going to
Oh,
mention is
go
that
ahead.
we also changed our monthly orientation to an online format. So we're able to reach all of our new employees better, as well as part-time employees, student employees, and adjunct faculty.
Great, thank you. And so, we don't want to stop there. We will continue when we return back to campus. I will tell you, majority of employees are excited to get back, to start getting back in the swing of things, as they would put it. We do have many things planned to come, some of which we felt like were better served once we were able to get back face to face, even though we will be doing some virtual. But we will continue with our quarterly employee check and chat. Those work really well. Supervisor meets with employees, literally 10 to 15 minutes, checking in. How are you doing? What can I do for you? Those types of things. We will continue with our visit with the VPs, the vice presidents, and I do meet quarterly, and we did start that in a virtual format. So we do kind of an open Q&A session. Ask us anything. We'll kind of give an update on our different areas. We will continue to work really closely with our communication task force, as well as our campus climate committee. We have great relationships with both. They bring suggestions forward, and we talk through those and find the best way to implement those for our staff. We will get back into revising our evaluation processes, and then look at other ways we can definitely encourage diversity within our staff and employees. And then I'll just turn it one more time over to Rob. Rob, any more planned improvements that you think that you'd like to add?
Rob, you have your microphone muted.
My apologies. The last thing I was going to mention is that we have a wealth of experience and knowledge at the college, and we're going to be implementing a mentoring program so that we could take advantage of that vast experience that we can gain from our fellow employees. We're looking to do that around April or May.
Great. Thanks, Rob, and thank you, governing board members. And that really concludes our report of our environment update. And I would be happy to entertain any questions that you might have.
Thank you, Brandy. Any questions for Brandy or Rob? Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And that concludes our agenda. Our next governing board meeting is scheduled for April 20th, and sounds like perhaps that will be our last virtual one. We can celebrate that then if it's still looking good.